Hi, I'm Drew, and I have a story that'll make you want to drink like an Egyptian.
Hi, I'm Chelsea, and today we'll talk about the magic behind food.
Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm going to talk about how a bishop losing his head led to Lucy and Lucy and Lucy and 2 tons of sausage.
What does all of this have to do with the word feast? Find out in this week's episode of History Bluffs. Hello and welcome to this episode of History Bluffs. It's where truth is stranger than fiction. And now I want to welcome his beautiful face to the show. It's your host. It's Carlos.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of History Bluffs. I'm your host today, Carlos, and I'm joined here by 3 excited historians, 2 of which are going to tell you a real story from history, and 1 of which is a lying liar who lies. And it's up to you. What the?
Wow, that sounds so terrible. Bluff is so much softer.
Sounds horrible. Sounds horrible. Listen, everyone, bluff, lie, same difference. One of these people is bluffing about something, which is to not tell the truth, which is a lie. Deceit, lies, deceit. But 2 of them are telling the truth. And we're going to figure out who's doing that today with our topic today, feast. But before we talk about all that stuff, let's meet our historians. Let's start with Drew. Hello, Drew.
Oh, let's do it. It's Drew.
Hello, everybody.
All right, Drew. You know what? What's going on with you, Drew? How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm just down the street from you here in Chicago, I think, right?
What? Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting. You're from here and there. You're 2 places. You're like Schrodinger's cat.
He's Schrodinger's Drew.
But if it was Orlando in the box and Chicago outside of the box or something. Listen, Drew, if you could go to any famous historical feast in time, other than the one you're going to talk about today right now, what feast would you want to go to?
Huh.
Wow.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I guess, first one that pops into my mind is, I guess, the Last Supper. But
where would you sit? Who would you sit next to? Who would be your supper buddy?
I probably next to Simon. Was there a Simon there? Let's say there was a Simon.
Let's go.
The apostle called Simon. Sure. Simon,
like one of the 12.
I tell you what, Drew, if I were at the Last Supper, I'd probably sit on the other side of the table because there's so much room. You'd have so much arm space on the other side of the table.
Made for a good photograph, though.
Yeah. Well, you could turn a little. You can cheat the camera. That's fine. Like, what? Like one of those stills from the Cheers opener. Thank you, Drew. Thank you so much. All right. Our next historian today is Chelsea. Hi, Chelsea.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I just ate dinner, but all this talk about food is already making me hungry again.
Oh, good. Hopefully by the end of this episode, everyone watching will be hungry. Chelsea, are you right down the street from me as well, or are you in Orlando?
I'm in Orlando.
Okay. What's the weather like in Orlando?
Oh, it depends. It's been a bit rainy. We're supposed to get cold pretty soon. Cold meaning 80 degrees. I'm very excited.
Oh, boy. And it's cold right now in Chicago. Chelsea, same question. If you could be at any dinner in history, it could be famous, but it doesn't have to be famous, or maybe a dinner that you'd like to sit at, even if we don't know about it. What dinner would you want to be at?
Well, first you said feast before when you asked Drew, so I have to be honest. In my mind, it sounds really sad, but I went right to that scene in Matilda when he's eating that chocolate cake on the stage. Like, I want in on the chocolate cake. I have a sweet tooth.
Chocolate cake sounds chocolatey delicious. Would you want some milk with that?
Yes. I would like Britney Spears on one side and Taylor Swift on the other. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This dinner's getting good. This dinner gets good every day. Whoa. Thank you very much, Chelsea. Now, Chris, you're our third historian and final historian. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. And real quick answer to Drew's question. Yes, Simon was there with his buddies Alvin and Theodore.
Oh, there you go. Boom.
Yep.
When they started doing artwork with the chipmunks, that's when they crossed the line. That's why we don't see them anymore. Okay, same question to you, Chris. What famous historical dinner would you like to attend?
Well, I'm gonna follow Chelsea's footprint and take it back to the word feast, because I don't know the name of it, and it's not really a dinner, but it is a feast. It's a festival, and it's in somewhere in Italy, and it's a tomato. It's basically a huge food fight. It's a tomato throwing festival, and everybody wears white, just like the people that run from the bulls. Except by the end of the day, they're all red because they're throwing tomatoes at each other. It just looks like a lot of fun. So I would love to do that.
It sounds like a lot of fun, or the place for perfect murder.
Oh.
Thank you.
I got
Someone
you.
could be bleeding out. You wouldn't know about it until the next day when there's someone on the ground, Chris. Maybe that's your plan the whole way. Thank you very much. Now we're already suspecting you, Chris, as the bluffer. Speaking of, folks, did I tell you what the show is about? Just in case, I'll say it again. Our three armchair historians here will be given a single topic. That topic today is feast. They're going to tell you a story from history about that topic. And as I said, two of them are going to be telling you a actual story, maybe embellished a little bit because they're funny people, so they may exaggerate a little bit, but for the most part, it's going to be true. But one of them will be making the whole thing up. That's who we call the bluff, aka the bastard liar, and they'll be lying. And most of their story will be untrue, although they may pepper it with the truth because those are the best lies. All right?
And we would be remiss, Carlos, not to mention that we do have audience, and where they're out there.
Woo, indeed, Laura Ashley Ross.
Woo. So anybody watching out there can chime in the comments section if you want to make an accusation for the bluff. But there's rules about that, I think.
That's right. There are rules. Now, audience, feel free to make accusations, but if you happen to know that someone is lying or know for sure that someone's telling the truth, maybe keep that to yourself just to keep it fun. And certainly don't Google, please. Just educated guesses are perfectly fine. And if you want to tell us what historical feast you'd want to attend, you're welcome to do that as well. Okay? All right, so I think we're ready to get this started. And Adam, we know our topic is feast.
We do.
Now, our historians were given this topic prior to the show. Not too far prior, though, so they've had a little time to prepare for it, but not a lot of time. Mm-hmm. And honestly, they mostly wait till the last minute anyway, because that's the kind of people they are. So let's get this started. But before we do, there are rules, aren't there, Adam?
There are rules. Let's go ahead and put them up here. There's not a lot. It's pretty quick. Go ahead. For those audio listeners at home only, Carlos is going to read them.
Okay, I've said this already, but they're inspired by the topic. Two of the stories are real. One, the bluff, is not real. And the audience, please don't say if you know for sure what it is. We covered this, so I think we're ready to go. This is going to be a 3-round game, and each round, our historians are going to be able to tell a little bit of their story with a timer, and that timer is going to go down as we go from round to round. Speaking of which, I think it's time for the first round, Adam, which is...
Round number 1.
No graphic. That's fine. Okay.
Oh no, that's just for you, Carlos. Your display's broken. We totally got a graphic.
Everyone
I promise you.
Good.
Does that mean it's time to put up our latest piece of technology?
Yes, please. Let's put the Roundinator 5000 at the top of the screen.
Right, there we go. It's at the top of the board. It's right above Carlos's head.
All right. Okay. We're going to start with you, Drew. You're going to have 75 seconds on the clock to begin telling us your story as we begin to determine whether it's factual or fictional. Drew, when you hear the gong, begin.
Okay. What if getting drunk and passing out saved lives? Well, in ancient Egypt, there used to be an annual feast called the Tek Festival that encouraged people to get drunk. In fact, it was known by another name, the Festival of Drunkenness. It originated during the Middle Kingdom, which spans 2040 to 1783 BC, and was most popular during the early part of the New Kingdom, which started around 1550 BC. Now, this was not a social event. In fact, it was a sacred event held in temples. The Egyptians would gather annually to dance, light torches, eat tons of food, and of course, drink beer. In fact, the tradition was this. Everyone drank beer until they all passed out drunk. Then they'd all be awakened by the sound of drums. Upon waking up, they then worshipped and honored the goddess Hathor. And since Hathor was a goddess of love and fertility, the festival goers were also known to partake in an orgy or two. Their belief was that getting drunk lowered their inhibitions, which would lead to sex, which would lead to babies, and help prevent mankind's extinction. So you're asking, why did they honor Hathor? I'll tell you all about Hathor in round number 2.
All right. Thank you very much, Drew. Now, Chelsea, do we think Drew has a story about Hathor, or is he full of bullshit?
I think he's lying. Yeah, started throwing around a lot of dates there, and I'm not sure. It sounds like you thought back to your college days and maybe tried to find a fun story out of it, Drew.
Okay.
All right, and Chris, same question for you. Are you talking about the God of Love or the God of Lies?
I could listen all night to Drew pronounce Hathor because it makes me crack up the way he says it. This is for anybody who knows Drew and who's heard him talk on this show before. He mentioned the Tech Festival in ancient Egypt. He's just simply trying to force down our throats his belief. He's promoting his belief that aliens helped the Egyptians build the ancient pyramids. I'm guessing that's coming into the story somehow. He's talking about a tech. At least he didn't call it a techno festival. That led to raves and orgies and stuff. But that's where I think he's going.
Okay, I guess that's for the orgies and stuff. All right,
that's for the Tech Festival.
Being so
we like it's the raves. Okay.
Thank you very much, historians. Now we'll move on to our next historian for round 1. We're going to move on to. Oh, and look, everyone! By the way, every time a historian goes, a light gets lit.
That's true.
And an angel gets their wings.
That's how the show works, people.
All right, now Chelsea, it's your turn. You're going to now have 75 seconds on the clock to begin telling us your story. You can begin when you hear the gong.
So I talked a little bit about Matilda. We're going to talk about a different magical child. So we're going to talk about the Harry Potter franchise today. Who does not love Harry Potter? If you don't, I don't trust you or your judgment. Anyway, the Harry Potter series started with the first book, which came out in 1997. Then the first movie was in 2001. Their first video game was in 2005. And then, of course, you've got the Wizarding World of Harry Potter theme park in 2005. So Harry Potter is known for the 3 best friends, the different houses of Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin. Of course, there's Hogwarts, the school, the castle, and that really exciting train ride aboard the Hogwarts Express into the castle. And, Harry Potter's full of magical spells, magical potions, and, of course, magical feasts as well. The iconic feast in the Great Hall is known for the mounds of food, how it instantly replenishes, and at the swipe of a wand, it's all over. But that's not the feast that I want to talk about today.
Okay. I'm surprised because you talked a lot about that feast. You led up to it. Also, just to be clear with everyone, we are not sponsored by Universal Studios of Orlando or any of the Harry Potter parts of the theme parks they're in, even though it may sound like we are based on that huge love letter to Harry Potter. All right. Speaking of love letters, Chris, are you feeling love for Chelsea's story so far, or do you feel that you have been scorned by lies?
I appreciate her use of the MacGuffin. She goes down this entire path of Harry Potter, and then pulls the rug out from under us, like Aladdin. That it's not going to be about that. My take is that she mentioned Harry Potter is full of magical spells and potions. I think Chelsea might be full of something else.
Whoa, those fighting words.
All right, Drew, do you feel as fighty towards Chelsea as Chris does?
I don't know. I think I think I needed to hear the word magical at least one more time during the story. If this was a drinking game, I'd be drunk if I had a drink. Every time she said the word magical, but I mean, she's throwing out a lot of dates. I mean, we basically got like the history of Harry Potter from '97 to 2005, and kind of just really, I think she's setting us up. I think this all sounds true, but I think she's setting us up for the real lies coming in rounds 2 and 3.
Ooh, yes, the long ago history of 25 years ago.
You know what, Carlos? You know what's interesting is Drew mentioned if this was a drinking game, but I do want to point out that back in lesson number 58, Drew declared it was actually a drinking game.
Okay,
And
so
I just
folks
want to point
at home,
that. Yes.
If you're safely at home and you want to imbibe, feel free to pick something to make this a drinking game. We'll say magical. Anytime anyone says magical, take a shot. Yay! Unless you're driving with yourself, or unless you just don't want to.
Maybe it all
Challenge
ties
accepted.
into my festival of drunkenness.
Oh, that's true. That's
Festival
true.
of drunkenness.
Oh, it does tie in. Okay.
Speaking of festivals of drunkenness, Chris, it's time to hear your story. Let's hear what you have to say about Feast. You will also have, surprise, 75 seconds on the clock. You may begin when you hear the gong.
There it is. All right. So one of the most famous festivals in the world, certainly in the United States, is the Feast of San Gennaro in New York's Little Italy. To get us there, I'm going to take us back to, it's a Neapolitan festival, San Gennaro. Neapolitan stands for the people of Naples. And I'm going to take us back to Naples in 300 AD, the 4th century. Saint Gennaro was the bishop of Benevento, Italy. And he died a martyr in 305 AD during the persecution of the Emperor Diocletian. His body is still preserved in Naples today. But what happened was he disobeyed the emperor, and he visited a couple of deacons and a few other people that were in jail that were untouchables, and he was not allowed to go see them. But he said, "No, what? I'm a priest. I'm a bishop. I'm going to talk to them." He was arrested. He was tortured, and he would never succumb to the power of the emperor. So he was beheaded, and his body he was thrown into a furnace. And his body came out unscathed, unburned. They were like, "What?" And so then they beheaded him, and his blood went all over the place. Somebody collected his blood. A little old lady from Naples collected his blood, put it in a vial, and I'll tell you what happens to that vial in round number 2.
Oh boy, that story sounds vile, Chris.
Wow.
Really moogly. All right. We heard a lot of blood. I think that's our most blood-rich story so far. Chelsea, what do you think of Chris's gothic tale?
Yeah, so that body that was like untouched, and then the vial of blood. I mean, this does sound like it's
Magical?
more fabricated than the stories of Harry Potter.
Ooh. Okay, Drew, do you agree with the fabrication claim?
Yeah, Chris's story started very like upbeat, and this festival in New York City, Little Italy, and he mentioned Neapolitan. It made me think of like, I'm going to hear like the history of the chocolate vanilla strawberry ice cream. But then it took a turn, and then we were talking about beheadings and burning bodies and a vial of blood. Like, that's not a festival that I want to go to. So
No ice cream there.
Well, no, you're missing out. Sounds like a kicking party.
Seems suspect.
Sus. All right. Well, so far we have suspicion on all 3 of our historians. Do we have any input from the audience so far, Adam?
Not right now, Carlos. It's a quiet front out there. They're all got their thinking caps on.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, we're going to put our thinking caps on and turn them on to 11 as we move to round 2.
This round is so crazy, Carlos has gone sideways. Oh, there he is.
All right. All right. We're now at round 2 where the points are worth double of nothing. So that means that we're still 0 points for everybody. But now each one of our contestants gets to delve a little bit deeper into their story and get a little more to the heart of it, which is especially something we want from Chelsea's story, because she left us with a bit of a cliffhanger at the end of her tale. So, Chelsea, you're going to have 60 seconds on the clock now. All three of you will, in fact, to continue telling your tale. You can begin when you hear the gong.
So as we talked about, the feasts in the Great Hall are not my most favorite feasts that happen in Harry Potter's world. My favorite feast is when they're aboard the Hogwarts Express for the very first time. The trolley comes around and Harry says, "I'll take the lot." And Harry and Ron feast on all of the sweets. Again, back to Matilda's cake. I do love sweets. So that's my favorite part. And they are eating everything from the chocolate frogs to the fizzing Whizbees to Bertie Bott's every flavor beans. And that is what our story's going to surround. So Bertie Bott's every flavor beans, those are basically jelly beans that taste like really gross things. You never know what you're going to get. Some of the flavors are rotten eggs, earwax, and vomit. And we're going to talk about how do we come up with said flavored beans, since they were in demand.
Oh boy. All right. You know what, Adam? I'm tired of these mother fudge and feast on this mother fudge and Harry Potter train.
Me too.
No drum roll, boo, Adam.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. There you go. There you go. I don't have it. I was looking for a snake sound effect.
I don't want your kitty drum roll.
Oh.
All right. Drew, what do you think of Chelsea's story? She suggests that she's gonna tell us where the ideas for the candy flavors from the Harry Potter films come from. Do you think that she has the truth to this, or is she just pulling it out of her butt?
Well, she mentioned this Binny Bots and all these flavors, and I gotta be honest, I tasted a little vomit in my throat while she was talking about that, because it just seemed that I could start to smell the BS coming out of with this Binny Bots. I mean, it reminds me of Dipping Dots, which is like the ice cream of the future that's been the ice cream of the future since like the 70s.
Can't believe you brought Dippin' Dots into this.
Bertie Bots.
Dippy Dots. What is it? Binny Bots, rotten eggs, vomit. I mean,
It's nasty.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big Potter fan. I'm waiting for her to mention Gandalf.
Oh, wow. Hold the phone.
R.I.P.
I was saving the sound effect for that one, Adam.
That's it. I had the record scratch. That's the best I had. Shame on you, Drew.
He's not even in the ground yet. All right, let's change the subject real quick.
Wait.
Chris, do you feel that... What? We're changing the subject. Chris, do you feel that Chelsea... Do you feel that Chelsea's story is getting more factual or more fictional?
Well, I just, people thought about my story with the decapitation, which was a thing back then. That's how they killed people, execution. And she talks about rotten eggs, earwax, and vomit flavored stuff at a festival. I mean, that's more disgusting. But I will give her credit for fizzy Whizbees. That's good rhyming there. I wondered if they eat fizzy Whizbees while throwing frisbees. That would really get me over the top. I'm curious now where she's going with this story. She took two huge. I feel like we're skiing downhill on this really big mountain, and she's taking us on a journey. So I want to see where she ends up taking us down the hill.
All right. Let's see if she takes us to 9 3/4 station or not. Okay, we had Chelsea go for round 2. Now we're going to have Chris go for round 2. Chris, you will have 60 seconds to continue your tale of blood and visceral.
Yes, so,
when you hear the gong, begin.
There it was. All right. So he was executed, beheaded, as they did in the day. And his body was wrapped up and his head was collected. And then, as I said, this Neapolitan woman used a sponge and pulled up some of his blood, put it in a vial. And then twice a year, his solidified blood would liquefy on 2 dates. One in May, which was when had some significance to something that he did to become a saint. And then, but September 19th was the other big date. That was the day that they killed him, September 19th. So for centuries, all this going on. Fast forward to the 20th century, early 20th century, Neapolitans and Italians in large mass are moving to the United States, emigrating to the U.S. And Neapolitans go to Little Italy, and specifically Mulberry Street, and they decide to have this festival. They started 97 years ago. A woman named Lucy opened a sausage stand at the San Gennaro Festival, and that is where we're going in round 3.
All right, Carlos, there you go. Welcome back, Carlos.
We're going to the sausage festival.
Going straight to the sausage festival.
That's right. Is this story going to be full of sausage, or is it going to be full of bull crap, Drew?
There's your drums.
Yeah.
No.
Too late.
Always.
So September 19th, his day of death, huh? But I liked how he just kind of glossed over this. He mentioned there was 2 days, and he just said, "Oh, May, something happened. It's not a big deal." Like he just kind of like, this, no big whoop. But let's talk about this day of death, and then Lucy runs a sausage shop in Little Italy.
It's Italy, I believe it. I mean, it tracks, but
have you not ever heard of Italian sausage?
Isn't September 19th also Talk Like a Pirate Day? Or is that the 20th? I get confused. Anyway.
Why would you know that for either? How would you know that?
I don't know. I'm a man of the internet. Sorry, continue.
I mean, it's just kind of his story's jumping all over the place, and so I don't know how he's going to tie this vial of blood in with bloody sausage. I can see where he's going, but I'm interested.
All right, Chelsea, is Chris giving us the Osseo truth, or is he telling us a story that should not be named?
Are you going to say that this is when like blood sausage was a thing and invented? I really hope it doesn't go down that way. I mean, it may as well, because it would be more believable than all the stuff you just told us about the blood liquefying twice a year.
That's an opinion.
You better move.
Sick burn, sick strong burn. Okay. Historians hated each other now. We still have one more historian to hear from in this round, and that is Drew. Drew, you're going to have 60 seconds to continue your story and try to convince these folks that you're telling the truth, because right now you're all going against each other, and it doesn't seem like anyone is leaning towards the truth right now, even though we know that 2 of you are. So when you hear the gong, begin.
Okay, the background story of my festival can be found in an ancient text called the Book of the Heavenly Cow. It tells the myth known as the destruction of man. In the story, it states how human beings once lived with the gods and were ruled by the sun god Ra. As Ra grew older, he noticed mankind had grown cruel and selfish, and he felt the humans were conspiring against him. So he decides he needs to do something. He summons the other gods for counsel, and they suggest that he sends the Eye of Ra down to teach them a lesson. Now, the Eye of Ra has functioned as his feminine counterpart, while at the same time serving as an extension of his power. So the Eye of Ra descends upon the people, at first in the form of Hathor, a motherly goddess of love and fertility. The people are not afraid of Hathor, so no one is alarmed when she appears, but it was all a ruse. More in round number 3.
All right, Drew, I gotta tell you, I watched a lot of Stargate, and I never heard about a Book of the Heavenly Cow. Okay, there's a lot of raw. So there we go. That's Adam mocking you. You're being mocked. There we go.
Yeah, okay.
But only a little bit, because if we mock you too long, we'll get banned. All right, or hit with a license strike or something. Okay, Chris, are we going rah-rah for Drew, or are we going hiss-boo for Drew?
We're going hiss boo for Drew, because he mentioned Dippin' Dots in his accusation of Chelsea earlier in the show. And then he brings up an ice cream flavor called Heavenly Cow that is supposed to be part of the name of a book. So he showed his cards a little bit there. So oops.
Huh. Wow. All right.
Oopsie. Uh-oh. All right, Chelsea, what do you think of Drew's tale of Egyptian gods and such?
It's pretty out there. When he said it was all a ruse, I was like, okay, there better be a big bomb at the end of this story. So I'm looking forward to round 3.
Oh, okay, Chelsea looking forward to round 3. So you may be able to convince Chelsea that you are not the bluffer, Drew. Speaking of round 3, that's where we're heading to right now because we're all done with round 2. So Adam, take us away.
Here we are on round number 3.
Huzzah. All right, audience members,
Huzzah.
if you have any guesses, feel free to start making them now. You've heard already 2 parts of each person's story. There's only one more part left. Let's see, historians, if you can convince any of these audience members that you are or are not the bluffer. We'll start this round with Chris. Chris, you're going to have only 45 seconds to wrap up your gory, bloody, blood-soaked, gory story, which is great because it's October. So thank you for that. You're on theme, both because of these and because of Halloween coming up. Shame on the other 2. Shame on you for not being on theme. But Chris, let's see if you convince us that you're one of the truthies.
All right.
Hear the going,
There it goes. All right. So this is in 1926. They started this festival in Little Italy. It was 1 block long on Mulberry Street in Little Italy. It's where the Neapolitans were. Is a tribute to the patron saint of their city, Saint Gennaro. It's called the San Gennaro. And Lucy Spata started this hot dog, it's a sausage stand. And it became, over the course of the next 100 years, one of the most iconic Italian-American businesses in New York City. Run for 50 years by her granddaughter, also named Lucy Spata. And now Lucy Spata, who's 71 years old, is about to hand it off to her granddaughter, also named Lucy Spata. And they do it at this festival. They do 300 pounds of sausage a day. It's now the festival is 11 days long. It's almost 2 tons of sausage every day. Every festival from this one stand. Boom.
Okay, Sausage Festival in Italy, and it's still going on, apparently. All right, Chelsea, what do we think of Chris's tale? His time is up as far as telling his story. Has he in any way convinced you that he might be telling the truth, or has he in any way cemented to you that he is the bluffer?
We went from like beheadings to like blood vials to and a sausage festival in New York that still happens today.
All right. It does sound like you're doing Demon Barber of Fleet Street, Chris. That's what it sounds like, maybe.
It's a journey.
Drew, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Saint Gennaro is Saint Generic. I think this is.
That's good.
It's. I mean, first of all, how cruel is it to just keep naming your daughter's Lucy? I mean, that's just like that's such an outdated name. I don't know. And 300 pounds per day, and that's just one guy. Hey. But yeah, there's a lot of just I think misleads and misdirects, and I continue like I was in round number 1 with Chris's story. I continue to be suspect.
Well, you haven't convinced him otherwise, Chris, and you don't have any more chances to do so. The only thing that save you now from Drew is if Chelsea is more sus than you. Also, isn't Gennaro the name of the wife in the Die Hard movies? Might be a Kaiser Soze scenario if Chris is a Die Hard in the background. Drew, you're up for round 3. You have 60 seconds on the clock. You can complete your story when you hear the gong.
Okay, so Hathor appears. Suddenly, she transforms into the warrior goddess Sekhmet. To give you a visual, Sekhmet, it has the head of a lioness. She is there to punish mankind. She proceeds to tear all the people apart and drink their blood. Ra is pleased until his council points out that if she kills all humans, there won't be anyone left to have learned a lesson. So Ra sends down another goddess, the goddess of beer, Tenenet, is sent down and told to dye a bunch of beer red so it looks like blood. Sekhmet finds the beer, drinks it, and it passes out. When she wakes up, she's transformed back into the motherly goddess Hathor. Drinking all the beer stops her rampage, and the Festival of Drunkenness was born as a way to honor her for changing her heart.
Well, no, Drew. Justifying festival drunkenness sounds like something a Chicago person would do. Make up a lie just to justify our behavior up here. I'm not sure. Chris, what do you think?
He had me on a path to possibly believing him until he, whatever he said about tenants or whatever it was. And as beer drinkers who've been across the pond know, Tennant's is a lager, one of the most popular beers in Great Britain. And I think Drew is just fishing around for something. He realized that, pulled this out and said, Tennant's alcohol, beer, festival, drunkenness, whatever. And he came up with this whole story about all these gods and goddesses, all out of the, and then I think he burned the Bible because they all came out of the same person at one point. So it's kind of a little bit like Adam and Eve there. But I'm really, really, really skeptical. I just want to hear more of Chelsea's story before I make my decision.
All right. Concerning, speaking of Chelsea, she was nodding her head too, and Chris was being suspicious here. Chelsea, what was that head nod about?
I had the same like train of thought of like maybe this is, and then you're like, oh, her head turned into a lion, and then the goddess of beer, and I was like, okay, no. Here's the other shoe.
Oh, Drew, you're not doing too well here, buddy. All right, okay. We've heard from Drew. We've heard from Chris, right? So, Chelsea, you're going to take that last slot in our last round. Seems like a lot of suspicion is for both of the fellas here. You might be able to convince them otherwise. Let's see what you come up with in your very last round. You will have 45 seconds. You can begin when you hear the gong.
So Birdie bought every flavor beans, essentially jelly beans that taste gross. So this is named from J.K. Rowling's grandparents, Beatrice, who went by Birdie, and her grandfather Barton, who went by Bot. And there was a high demand for people that actually were interested in trying these jelly beans, essentially, after the movie came out. So they actually got to work and he said, I think we have to actually make these because we can sell them. So that's exactly what they did. They contacted people who were actually in ice cream shops and used to putting weird flavors together. And so these people actually have bachelor's degrees in food science to understand the makeup of food. And that's how we have Birdie Bot's every flavored beans.
All right. We have the beans because people who watch the movies wanted the beans. Seems straightforward to me. Chris, what do you think?
Well, I think it's pretty convenient that her grandparents were named Birdie and Barton, and Birdie Bot, that became the kind of the inspiration for her thing. Could be viable, could be true. However, until she then brought up that the movie created this demand for this stuff, and I'm like, wow, that sounds an awful lot like Bubba Gump Shrimp, which didn't exist before Bubba Gump, what's his name? Forrest Gump. But after that movie, they created a company. Somebody created a company called Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. So I find that to be strikingly similar to that true story of the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. So, wow, yeah, I'm going to have to do some math here to figure out which of these two I don't believe more. Or I believe less.
Yes. So Chelsea must have seen Forrest Gump recently and just based on Bubba Gump Shrimp from Forrest Gump, the 1994 Tom Hanks vehicle. Drew, do you concur with Chris's crazy hypothesis? Or do you have an actual sane one of your own?
Well, at first I was thinking that this story put the dumb in Dumbledore.
Too soon again. Too soon, Drew.
Oh,
Yeah. But then Chris, she said Bernie, and then Chris brought up Bubba, and it made me think that what, this is the honest to God truth. My grandparents were Bubba and Bernie, and I didn't name jelly beans after them, especially ones that tasted like vomit. But I think there's probably some stability in this fact that J.K. Rowling's used her grandparents or parents, whatever, as a inspiration for behind the name of this jelly bean. So I don't know.
All right, Chelsea, it looks like you have someone on your side here. Okay, all right. Well, as you can see, our Roundinator 5000 is all lit up, which means everyone is gone. So, contestants, if you're watching at home, feel free to put in your guesses as to who you think is the bluff out of Drew, Chelsea, and Chris. Because now we're at pretty much the end of the show. And now the only thing left to do is to determine who was telling the truth and who was telling the truth and who was bluffing. And I don't know who the bluff is, but you know who does. You, Adam.
Oh, that's right. It is me. It is me. Did we want to go around to the historians for their final guess and accusation?
Oh, yeah. Historians. Well, we let the audience let us know who they think it was.
Well, the audience is a little quiet tonight, so we'll just go to the historians for now, I think.
They're in post. The audience in post. The audience in spirit.
In spirit.
All right. Listen, there's always an audience somewhere. Okay, Drew, final answer. Who do you think is the bluff? Is it Chris or Chelsea?
Well, before I say anything, I want to I just had this amazing idea. The Chelsea's jelly bean people should get together with Chris's sausage people and make a sausage flavored jelly bean.
Jeez, no.
But
we're taking this in the wrong direction, Drew.
Aside from that, after hearing everything, I mean, they both have flaws in them, but I gotta say, I think Chris, with this sausage and vial of blood, I think Chris is the bluff.
Oh, all right.
All right. It's blood sausage lie. Chelsea, who do you think the bluff is? Is it Drew or Chris?
So hard. We've got that liquefying blood 2 days a year, the beer goddess. But I don't know. Me and Chris, we have the same wavelength, same reaction. So I'm gonna trust that intuition and say it's true.
You say it's who, Chris?
Drew.
Drew. Oh, you think it's
Wow.
Drew?
Wow.
Yeah, just because at the same time we were we had that same reaction. So I'm gonna go with that.
So Drew thinks it's Chris. Chelsea thinks it's Drew because she's in simpatico with Chris. Chris, do you think it's Drew or Chelsea?
Well, some people, if they were betting, would say, all right, he's going to pick Chelsea just to even it out so that nobody is scot-free and getting away with being the bluff tonight. But because Chelsea based hers on intuition and gut feeling, I'm going to go with hard and fast math and science. And I counted up how many things in each of their stories that I was questioning or just totally disbelieved. And by a count of 21 to 27, Drew has more things that I disbelieve. So I am going with Drew. Drew is my accusation for the bluff.
He used math. He used math.
When it comes to math,
Just telling nope.
Can't argue with math.
No, you can't.
Chris,
You can't.
Chris thinks that when it comes to Drew, the math ain't mathin'. So we have 2 votes for Drew, 1 vote for Chris, 0 votes for Chelsea.
Wow. You know what that means, Carlos.
Chelsea is the bluff. She wins the game based on the rules I've created in my head. All right? Otherwise, no one really wins. Well, the audience is the winner. The audience that is there, no matter what Adam says. So,
Okay.
Adam, you're the one that knows who the bluffer is. So why don't you take it away and do the reveal?
All right, let's do the reveal. Carlos, go ahead and step off of our virtual stage, and we'll get our perpetrators up and ready. And we're going to find out, was your bluff for this show about Feast, was it Drew? Was your bluff Chelsea? Or could your bluff have been Chris? I have the truth, and I shall reveal now your bluff this whole time. It was Chelsea.
Oh my God.
That's right.
That in fact does mean that Chelsea is our winner. Chelsea and any audience members that vote that thought that Chelsea was the bluff are the winners. But Chelsea, how does it feel to have conned two men into thinking that you were a truther when you were in fact a bluffer?
Oh, Chelsea is muted. Or we're not getting Chelsea's volume for some reason.
She's saying, I retract myself from this
speechless.
competition, and I give the victory to Drew and Chris. That's what she said.
It's all right. We'll take your congratulations in silence.
I'm number one.
There it is.
Hooray!
That's right. It's a victory. That's a clean. We call that a clean sweep in History Bluffs.
That was very good.
A turkey, if you will.
It's a turkey, just like.
Gotta leave it at that.
Just like like that turkey right there.
Well played. Well played.
Drew, Chris, how do you feel about being scammed so hard and so good?
It's that was impressive. Kudos, Chelsea. That you fooled us both. Sounded believable to me.
Yeah, well done. That's a good
It
job.
was a very magical story.
It was.
I will say it sounded less bluff-like to me than Drew's.
Oh, snap.
The math.
And both of yours.
All right, folks. Well, thank you for joining us for another fun episode of History Bluffs. Please join us next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, same bat YouTube or Twitch or Facebook or wherever you watch us to watch a game show where truth is stranger than fiction. Have yourselves a wonderful night. Goodbye.
You heard them. Tune in. We are always here every week, streaming live. Join us, learn history, and have a laugh. See you next time.